Hi, my name is Nick Schaff. Back when I was 13 years old, I lived in Connecticut. Had an awesome family and I lived in a great town. I had a pretty normal middle school life. But I'll never forget sitting on the couch like most 13-year-olds do and watching TV. And a commercial came on about a little African boy who was my age, but he lived in poverty. And I remember hearing about a lot of the things that went on with kids my age around the world. How there's preteens out there that are ahead of their household, or how there's little girls who traveled miles and hours just to get clean water for their families, or little boys who were forced into violence and into war. I heard about how disease and hunger and fear and violence described the lives of so many kids my age around the world. I remember wanting so badly just to do something to help. I felt so privileged and so grateful for the life that I had that I felt like it was my responsibility to give back. But I had no idea what I was going to do. I wasn't famous, I was young, I didn't have any money, didn't have any influence. All I knew was that I loved basketball. So I decided to throw together a 3-on-3 basketball tournament as a service project for my middle school to raise money for kids in Kenya. It was called JamQuest. That year we raised just under $3 grand. And I learned something huge that year. I started to believe that I could make a difference in the life of another kid by just deciding to care. So we started dreaming, and JamQuest began to grow. Over the next several years, we raised tens of thousands of dollars, spoke to thousands of kids. We helped dozens of kids in need have the chance to go to school. And then finally, after 7 years of JamQuest being around, I got to go to Kenya and visit some of the kids we've been helping out. And I was blown away by what I saw. While I was there was this amazing young lady named Valentine that I met. She came over to me and said, "Hey Nick, can I tell you a story?" I said, "Yeah, of course." She said, "You know, when I was 13 years old, I got pregnant and I gave birth to a little girl. And at that moment, I had no idea what I was going to do. I felt in the dark, I felt alone, I felt scared, I felt like my whole future was in question. My dad could barely support my brother and I. He didn't have a job, he was a single parent. So we had no idea what I was going to do. I couldn't go to school, and I felt like hope was lost. I felt so scared. And I remember looking at her and just feeling so much compassion and just feeling so sorry that she had to go through that. It was just not even close to what I had to go through when I was 13 years old. But then she said, then Nick, then JamQuest found me and gave me the fees to be able to go to school. And it was at that moment that I felt like I was brought out of darkness and into the light. And it's amazing because Valentine went on to finish high school and she went on to start her own small business. And now she actually volunteers for an organization that goes into the schools and tries to mentor teenagers and help them try to realize their potential. And she looked at me, she said, "Nick, I came to visit you today and say hello because my little 6-year-old daughter wanted me to tell you that you helped change her life." And there are so many stories just like Valentine's. And with your help, there could be so many more. You know, changing the world is about each of us making a decision to care, a decision to use our talents, our gifts, our opportunities to help somebody else. And when we decide to care, it ignites a cycle in motion, a cycle of hope. Robert Kennedy says, each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And those ripples build a current, which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Right now, there are 2.2 billion kids on our planet. About half of them live in some sort of poverty. Imagine if 1 billion kids decided to rise up and to help 1 billion other kids break the cycle of poverty in their lives. One kid at a time, one kid helping one kid break the cycle of poverty. So let's use what we have, whether it's a lot, whether it's a little, to serve, to give, to help others, and in doing so, sending forth a tiny ripple of hope. Let's go out and let's make a difference together. Go to jamquest.org and join us in our 1 Billion Kids global initiative and learn how you can change the world in your own community.